Stake your claim in a world of shambling horrors, insidious cultists, and inexplicable supernatural phenomena. This is Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon, a game that will pique a lot of people's curiosity. A single-player open-world RPG set in a land of blood, guts, and Arthurian legend, and it's ready for you to play right now in early access. But should you? Let's see if this game is worth your time and your money. So, what is this game? And who is it for? Well, let's just address the elephant in the room. It looks like Skyrim, yes, it's true. This looks like Skyrim's younger and less popular cousin, who spent his summer locked away in his bedroom listening to Cradle of Filth. It's much darker than an Elder Scrolls game, much moodier and angstier and bloodier and gorier. Yet, it still has all those gubbins that we associate with Skyrim. It's first person, you've freedom of choice in building your character however you want, you can utilize an array of armaments and magic, and after a short tutorial, you're free to go about the world however you choose. You'll perform tasks for merchants and villagers.
And yes, you'll get paid.
Explore dank and dusty dungeons, and pick up absolutely everything that isn't nailed down. There's numerous skill lines to level up and master, crafting systems, environmental storytelling, and a world in peril waiting for a strapping young hero. It's set in an alternate version of Arthurian legend, but it's all a lot more morbid than you might remember it. It's developed by Questline and published by Awaken Realms, a Polish board game company who's dipping their toe in the world of video games. Why is that relevant? Because Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon is adapted from a board game that shares the same name. It takes the elements of the world, story, and general macabre feel of the whole experience and puts it right up on your screen. Although they're fairly new to the video game world, this isn't the developers' first rodeo. They released Tainted Grail Conquest in 2021, a roguelike deck builder set in the same grisly world. So the developers have found success already, but what they're aiming to achieve now is a darn sight more ambitious. Before you think they're making lofty promises they can't keep, they have expressed that they aren't making something on the same scale or polish as an Elder Scrolls game. It'll be much smaller, tighter, and it won't have that AAA feel. So bear that in mind. But before we talk about what the game will be, let's take a look at what it looks like now in its early access state. So, right now, Fall of Avalon is a scaled back version of its intended full size. You'll have this region here to explore, with extra areas up here to be added later in the development cycle. The devs have tried to include as many systems as they can, although in rudimentary states that will likely evolve as time goes by. There's a variety of different weapons to try out, various magic schools to harness, armor categories to experiment with, skill lines to develop, and special bonuses to bestow upon your character. In the world, there's a few other systems that the devs have included, things like cooking, harvesting materials, lockpicking, crafting, etc, etc. But these do all feel very bare bones. I get the feeling that they've been included just so they're there, but I'm expecting them to be reworked later down the line as they feel quite basic right now. This first gameplay sequence will teach you the basics, but really, you're left to work out most things on your own. You're given a quest objective to follow up on, but if and when you do that is really up to you. And I personally quite like that. It heightens that joy of discovery and working things out for yourself. Even during the tutorial, you'll find little secrets to discover and handwritten notes to deepen your understanding of the setting. During your travels, you'll discover points of interest, pick up quests, and work towards your overall greater goal. The devs have stated that the first build has roughly 10 to 15 hours of content, right off the bat. But if you like delving into every nook and cranny and reading all the notes you come across, that playtime will be stretched even further. So, that's a very good start. But let's get into the nitty-gritty and see what this game is like under the hood. So first and foremost, let's talk about how it looks. There's no need to lie to you, you're looking at it right now. It looks great. Yes, it's all quite dark and dingy, but that's kind of the game's whole thing. It's atmospheric. Sure, the textures aren't as high fidelity as something a AAA studio would put out, but for a 30-man studio making their first open world game, I think they've done a pretty great job. There's nice little details in the world too. Little objects stashed away in levels, torture instruments, monster brains, and you can pick them up and stuff them right in your pocket. It's a little gross, but it helps with the general feeling of the world. That said, there are some areas that fall short. Some of the character models lack personality, and the monsters don't have the visual impact that I'm sure the developers want. Furthermore, sometimes in combat, things just don't feel right. Things feel a little floaty. Hitboxes aren't where you think they are, and when you do hit an enemy, the blow just doesn't have the impact that it should. You don't feel strong. Given that combat is a really big focus for the game, improving these things will elevate it from a great idea to a really solid game. And the attention to the visuals and creature design is going to reward dividends. The devs aren't leaning into the world they've created as a major selling point, and I can see why. This isn't a carefree open world where you can whittle away your time chasing butterflies. This place is awful. There's lakes of blood, a creeping, unnerving sense of constant dread, and this unsettling feeling that death is everywhere. Death is a big theme of the game. It's set in a kingdom where King Arthur is being raised from the dead time and again, where necromancers run amok, and where shriveled torsos will just groan at you when you get too close. They've done well to incite a real sense of discomfort straight away. Whilst I feel the visuals and world design are solid, there were some downsides. The audio design was somewhere the game felt very rushed. It was missing the little touches that help keep you immersed in a world like this. Whether that's the sound of you sheathing your sword or the big meaty thwack as you hit a monster with your mallet, their absence can definitely be felt. On the topic of immersion, there's the issue of voice acting. Some performances are done very well.
Not so fast, brother. I'm not getting near a goddamn boat unless I know where I'm going.
Away from here, brother. Isn't that enough?
But the less important side characters do feel a bit clumsy.
Oh, I could have sliced you up like a fish? Like a potato.
In some cases, the voice acting just stops, and the remainder of the lines are delivered by AI, which is, well, immersion breaking is an understatement.
And I'll say it was all my doing.
Well, I don't have much, so it will be a fair price.
But again, this is an ambitious project. I'm sure that corners had to be cut to get it out into early access, and I have no doubt the developers will polish out these little rough edges. As for the next steps, well, the devs have big plans. Before I go on, if you like what you're seeing, why not drop us a like and subscribe? It really helps us out. Now, their roadmap is a bit ambiguous. They have, however, detailed some of their plans for the game's first major patch, which they're aiming to release 3 or 4 months after the early access launch. And there's some really important things in here that will go a long way. Tuning the AI and behavior of enemies, enhancements to the combat feel, bug fixes, quest fixes, performance tweaks, all are fixes to some glaring issues. But on top of that, they're looking to add some neat new features to the game. The possibility for stealth builds, thievery, factions, enemies patrolling around the map. These are all things that the game needs, and it will really help flesh out the world and the general experience. But then there's some additions to the roadmap that leave me a bit cautious. They've detailed a few extra things they want to add if they have time. Horse riding, horticulture, fishing, player housing. Now, don't get me wrong, I like these type of things in games, but these are each big systems to implement. Allowing a player to ride a horse, well, that really changes a lot in an open world. It's something that is either planned from the beginning or not at all. It changes the whole scale of the game. It could be the case that they'll try and add in rudimentary versions of each of these systems, but really, one of these systems done well is better than all of them done poorly. I won't lie, that's a bit of a red flag to me, and it may just be a miscommunication due to the rough roadmap, but even ignoring all that, I have some reservations about what can be achieved in 12 months or so that they've stated the game needed before its 1.0 release date. Yes, the developers have gone through early access before with Conquest, and delivered, but the scale and scope of this project makes me worried. I'm scared that this is a small studio biting off more than they can chew. These types of games are incredible when pulled off properly, but cut one too many corners and they become very difficult to play. Though, I love to be proved wrong, and if the devs can stick the landing and grow this game into what their players are expecting, well then, this is going to be a big game for a lot of folks. And with those reservations comes another issue that will stop many from taking the risk on this game, the price. It's £25, which is 30 US dollars, 29 euros, nearly 45 Australian dollar a days. That's a lot for an early access title, creeping out of your usual indie game prices and into AA territory. But is it worth that lofty price point? Is this the next big thing? Is this the next Skyrim? All these questions will be answered right after I get my Scale of Buying-In-Ing-Ness to show you how worth your time and money this game is right now. Here we go. Upsy daisy. So, the Scale of Buying-In-Ing-Ness. Do you buy it now, wait for updates, wait for full release, or do you stay away from it completely? Well, I am going to say that you want to wait for full release, and here's why. Despite my concerns and my criticisms, there's a lot to like here. The game has a ton of personality, and it really did stand out to me. The issues didn't bug me because they were there, they bugged me because they stopped this being a really stellar title. There's this great world building, attention to detail in the environmental storytelling, great ambience that all sort of gets diminished by the game's flaws. I didn't have a bad time playing it, I enjoyed myself. I just couldn't ignore the fact that I could be enjoying myself a lot more had the game had the level of polish and immersion that is sink or swim for this genre. It's a really solid build for early access, and I do commend the devs for pulling it off, but they still have a long way to go. I'm excited to see what this game evolves into as it nears its 1.0 state. And I think, once it's had the enhancements and fixes it needs, it could be something really great. But for the sake of getting the best experience you can get out of this game, you should just hold off on it just for a little bit. And that's Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon, an ambitious game with the potential to be something really quite special. But it isn't there just yet. I really do hope the devs can pull off what they've envisioned for this game, because it sounds pretty damn exciting. But anyway, that's enough for today. Let us know if you'll be keeping an eye on this game, or if there's any other early access titles you want to see dissected and rated on my board of Buying-In-Ing-Ness. You know, the name's really starting to grow on me.